Good morning and welcome to FlossTube number 39. If you're new here, this is a channel about cross stitch. My name is Christine. I am CMD586 on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, follow me there. And today is February 9th, 2020. I'm going to try to get right down to business. It's been a while, so I feel like this could end up being a lengthy video, which I don't really want it to be a lengthy video. So this time I'm not going to talk about books, crochet, and I'm not also going to talk about Alaska, although I realize I've been neglecting that, and there was at least one question asked of me about Alaska that I intended to address several issues several episodes ago, and I just haven't got to it. But that one's going to take me a while. So in the interest of keeping things short-ish, I'm just going to try to keep this to cross stitch today. But I will do a small life update at first. Things are going good. Last time we spoke, we were looking forward to our son coming home to visit during his first semester in college for Christmas. Or after his first semester in college, and I know I was a little bit anxious about that. Things are good. He is apparently fine. I think everything, none of my little things that I was like worried about came to pass. So that all went fine. I enjoyed him immensely, and then I had my board gaming thing at the end of January, and that was a really good time. I'm gonna just insert a picture here of me with some of my friends at the board game thing. And so that was a very good, break. I had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and Monday off, and the board game thing started on Friday night and ended on Sunday evening. And the past few years during that convention, that happens every January, the last weekend in January. The past few years have not been great for me personally. It just so happens that during that convention, it has seemed to coincide with some bad things happening in my life. And this year was the first year in the last few years that I felt completely carefree during that weekend. I didn't have any job worries. I didn't have any kid worries. I didn't have any personal worries. And I just was really able to dedicate myself to this fun weekend with my friends, engaging in a hobby. And it was really wonderful. But anyway, back to my other love, one of my other loves, cross stitch. So everything's good. Everything's good with me. Let's see. So I've got a little bit of haul, and I told you last time I wanted to do a finish parade for 2019. I'm going to do that a little bit differently this time. I have only finished 13 things, which isn't bad considering the level of distraction I had last year, and a couple of those things are pretty good sized, and also, I took up crocheting this year and stuff like that. I'm not too displeased with 13 finishes, but I'm going to, instead of doing a physical parade right in front of you like this, I'm going to just insert a video of my finished parade, because a few of the items I don't have in my possession, and so I'll just insert a video of that. It's just easier, and it'll certainly be quicker. And I'm gonna try to, like I always try to do, I want to keep the editing to a minimum on this video. So I'm not gonna insert a bunch of text about the name of the item or the fabric or anything like that. I honestly think that you guys are probably familiar enough. You probably know what all of these things are, but if you don't, you're welcome to ask me about it in the comments below. If you need to know what is that pattern and what fabric did you use, etc., just ask, because I certainly know that stuff. I just am trying to keep this as short as I can, and minimize the effort, frankly, on the part of my husband for editing. So a simple slideshow of the 13 finishes is what I'm going to insert. welcome back. And let's get on to haul. So I have not a lot because I've been, trying to not buy a ton of stuff. But Christmas happened, and I have had a few purchases. So first off, I guess Christmas I didn't get much in the way of cross stitch stuff for Christmas because I wanted to focus my money elsewhere. But I did give my husband a small cross stitch wish list of just small things that he could get for me, because I don't need any more big projects anytime soon. So I just gave him a little wish list with some small projects, and he bought me a few things. So he bought me three Mill Hill kits. He bought me more other things for Christmas, but they were all non-cross stitch related. So he bought me one of the Autumn Harvest series, Patriotic Blue. It's a donkey. It's I think it's a magnet. Yes, this is one of the magnets. And I'm probably going to stitch this up and send it to my dad for his refrigerator, because this would be totally suitable to him. Somewhat suitable to me too, but even more suitable to my dad. Another thing he got me was part of the Mill Hill Ghost trilogy. This one, it's not a magnet. I think it's just meant to be an ornament. It doesn't come with a pin or a magnet. It's called Essence, and it's a ghost with a little black kitty down there. And one of these days I want to have a Halloween tree that I hang ornaments off of, so this will be one of the things that I hang from that tree if I ever have one. Lots of plans. Too busy making stuff to actually do any of those plans. And then this is part of the Main Street series, Joe's Garage. My dad's name is actually Joe. I probably won't send this to him, but my dad's name is Joe, and I always called him Joe. I've never called him Dad, even though he is my biological father. And he does like to work on cars and stuff like that. So I'll be thinking of him when I stitch this. And so that's everything that my husband bought me for Christmas. Then I did get from 3L Threads, I got my second batch of Threadworks threads. I finished off collecting the Gast, and now I have switched to Threadworks. And I am going to show each of these to you. This is my second batch. My first batch got tucked away somewhere, so I'm not going to show that to you. But I do want to show Threadworks threads as I get them, because I don't think Threadworks gets enough attention. And these are the 20-yard skeins. I got the bigger skeins. I think Threadwork threads are beautiful. There's a lot to like about them. They are beautiful, easy to work with. The 20-yard skeins are economical. From Trisha, including shipping, I pay $36 for 10 20-yard skeins of Threadworks threads, which is only a couple of dollars more than I was paying for my Gast threads. And the only disadvantage to Threadwork threads is you don't see them in as many patterns, but they are just as beautiful as Gast, and I actually like them better for a couple of reasons. Number one, I have not seen, and maybe that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, but I have not ever seen in my working with Threadworks threads dye lot issues. So doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but in my experience, I've experienced a lot of dye lot issues with Gast, and I have a fair amount of experience using Threadwork threads, and I have yet to experience differences that are noticeable between batches of Threadworks threads. So maybe I've just gotten lucky. The other thing I really like about them is that they come pre-cut. When you open this skein up, it's not a skein. They're actually pre-cut, and they are pre-cut. They just happen to be pre-cut to exactly the length that I want. So I can get about, I have learned that using 2 strands on 36 count, I can get close to 100 stitches out of each pre-cut length of floss, which is about what I'm going for if I were to cut the floss myself. And the pre-cut aspect of it, just since it's the right length for me, it just works for me. It's just a little extra convenient. If that length isn't right for you, then of course the pre-cut is not a plus. But so, unfortunately, Threadworks doesn't put names on their labels. They put numbers only. You can find the names on like 123 Stitch if you look it up by the numbers. You can look up by both numbers and names, but the names are not printed on the label, which I think is just silly. But Trisha sent me a little handy thing with my Threadworks this month that does show me the names of each of them, so I will go ahead and share that with you. So 11231 is Santa's beard, and I think my lighting is good, so I think you're getting a pretty good representation. White-ish with a little bit of variegated gray-ish in there. So the next one, 11021, is Shabby Pink. Kind of a dusky pink. 1036 is Shades of Chocolate. Lovely, edible looking variegated brown. 1144, Sea Treasures. 10301, Samson. Not really sure what that name implies, but Samson. Samson. 1143 is Sea Flowers, not to be confused with Sea Treasures. Sea Flowers. Now that's pretty. I like that. 1111, San Antonio. Sort of peaches and yellows with a little bit of green in there. 10651 is Seven Dwarves Mine. Grays, green, a little bit of blue, brown. Really, really neat. 11580, Passion Flower. And the last is 11381, Seafoam. I love this. This is my kind of color right here. Okay, so that is my Threadworks threads for this past month, for January. Haven't got my February threads yet. Up here in Alaska, I tend to get my stuff like around the 24th or the 25th of the month. So next, I just got this in the mail and I don't know what it's for. So like, I don't know, sometime like mid last year, like spring or something of last year, April, May or something, I had discovered a pattern on 123 Stitch and I was maybe going to order it. I don't think I ordered it, but maybe I did. And I saw that it called for a particular fabric, and at that time that pattern I think was getting a lot of attention, and that fabric was sold out. And so I had done the whole thing where, you know, tell me when this pattern is back in stock, and I did that. And not the pattern, the fabric was back in stock, and I did that. And I got the note from 123 Stitch saying this fabric's back in stock, and I went to order it and it was already out of stock again. So I sent them an email at 123 Stitch. I was like, I've been waiting for this and you sent me the notification, and I tried to order the same day and it was already gone. And she suggested that she go ahead and actually place an order for me. And this is now back in July when they got it in stock and ran out of it. So I do have an email from July where I said, let me know. She had suggested I place an actual order, and then when they got it back in stock, one would be earmarked for me, and they would send it to me. It was for a particular project, and I have no friggin' clue what that project was. It's a lovely piece of fabric, but it was meant for something specific, and I can't figure out what it was. But regardless, like a week ago, I get an email, or, you know, sometime end of January, I get an email saying, oh, your order has arrived and you owe us this amount of money. And I'm like, I remember doing that, but I now have no idea why I wanted that. But it doesn't matter. It's a 40 count vintage autumn gold, 18 by 27 by Lakeside. It's lovely. I've never had any Lakeside. I mean, Lakeside is Weigart, so it's not going to be terribly different. But it's like a lot of, you know, it's lovely fabric. It's very similar to a lot of things I already like gingerbread. It's kind of a cross between gingerbread and ale. It's very nice. I like it. I'll use it. I wish I could remember what I had my heart set on it for, but I cannot. Maybe it'll come to me. But chances are I'll start using it for something else, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted it for. Now that I've seen it, however, whatever I had in mind for this, I could use ale or gingerbread or any other number of neutrals. There's nothing special about this. It's lovely, but there's nothing special about this Lakeside Vintage Autumn Gold. It's totally just fine, but it's not. It's very close to other things I already use and love. I do like it though. Yeah, it's nice. I would call it a slightly warmer ale, but not quite so warm as like gingerbread, but definitely warmer than ale. So it'd definitely be good for some things. Then when last we spoke, I did tell you, sorry, I need a little coffee. When last we spoke, I did tell you that I had placed an order with McKenna at her 1884 stitchery? 1884 stitchery? 1882 stitchery? I'm sorry, McKenna, I can't remember the number. Anyway, I placed an order with her, my first ever order with her. And I had said that I had ordered 3 things, but apparently I ordered 4. Doesn't matter, I'm sure I did. They're all things I wanted, but one of them I totally didn't remember ordering. The main reason for that order was, of course, Bendy Stitchy's A Very Hildy Yule, which is just, you know, that's like the perfect pattern for me. I absolutely couldn't pass this up. This is my first Bendy Stitchy. She has several that I have contemplated buying, but managed to resist. But when I learned about this one, I had to have it. Let me open it up, because I haven't actually opened it up. Let's see what Bendy Stitchy patterns are like, shall we? So it's number 15. There it is without the glare. The back, it is listed in DMCs. Oh, and one Threadworks. I don't have this Threadworks, but I can get it. One Threadworks, Christmas Candy. I'm happy to see somebody using a Threadworks, because like I said, one of the things that's bad about Threadworks is you don't see them on a lot of patterns. It's all Gaston Weeks. But she uses Threadworks Christmas Candy, which I will certainly get. Either I'll wait to stitch this when I end up with Christmas Candy from Trisha, or I'll just buy some. And the rest is DMC. You can see all that on the back. Details on the back are nice. She suggests 32 count Mirage from Picture This Plus. Who knows what I might use. I probably won't go out and get that fabric. And she's got a nice thank you for her model stitcher. It's not a very big pattern inside. It's 96 by 62, so like I could stitch this up really fast. And she says, it would make my day if you would tag me in your progress pictures on social media, which of course I will. And it looks like the whole border is done in that Christmas Candy. Oh, that's awesome, because that makes that border easy. And look at that variegation. That's really cool. Like, That's really cool variegation from Threadworks. I actually have a similar, I'm sure I'll use Christmas candy because I won't be able to stop myself, but I actually have a similarly variegated Christmassy thread of some sort already that would work just fine for that. But I think I will almost certainly get Christmas candy. Anyway, super happy with this. This is a nice little pattern. Looking at how small this is, I'm like, I should just stitch this up right this second. The pattern basically takes up, I don't want to show it to you. The pattern basically takes up half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And it's a nice size in terms of the printing. It's very readable. It's black and white. Yeah. Congratulations, Bendy. I'm so happy that you are making a go of this designing thing. And your designs are getting better and better. So I'm just thrilled for you. And for me and all of us. Because more great patterns is just what we need. Oh, let me see. I'm trying to put it back in there. I probably shouldn't bother. Okay, then I got the Nutcracker, Little House, Country Cottage Kids. And then I got 2 Little House Needleworks, Around the World in 80 Days, which I have been eyeing for a very long time. This is Crescent Colors and Weeks Dye Works and a couple of DMCs. I just love this. I mean, it's got, I love the look of it. I love the old-fashioned hot air balloon, because apparently I have some weird thing for hot air balloons, even though I don't really much have a desire to go up in one. But really, it's the, the literary thing. Patterns with a literary bent. I'm just a sucker for them. And then I got Yesteryear, which is all in DMCs. And this is the one I didn't remember ordering, but it has been on my wish list, so I'm sure I did order it. I just didn't remember that I did. And this one I have been eyeing for a long time, so I'm glad I finally apparently accidentally gave in to my desires and purchased it. Yesteryear by Little House Needleworks. Telephone, typewriter, automobile, bicycle, photograph, and airplane. And this one is all charted in DMC. So anyway, all great stuff, but I need to not start any of it. Okay, then I'm glad I waited on this video because I had wanted to get more things professionally finished, and I found out my friend Laura of the Slovak Farm, she has FlossTube, I will try to link her below, was wanting to start doing some professional finishing work for people, and I was like, hey, I'll send you some stuff. And so I did. I paid for these things, and she did a lovely job on finishing them. And I will go ahead and show them to you now. The first one, we'll start with the smallest first. This one, you would have seen this in my finish parade. This one is my last finish of 2019. I thought it was going to be my first finish of 2020, but it is my last finish of 2019. The New Year's Eve Sal put out by Magicals. I'll link to her below. She's the one who does the Magical Mystery Sals, and I've talked about it before, but this is a free pattern. It's a mystery Sal, and I believe it is on. I believe this is on Dirty Linen. I think it's 36 count, and Laura backed it on this lovely fabric. She gave me a couple of options, and I chose this one. And this is done in all the called for. This is my first experience with using étoile threads, and I really am happy with it. I don't know if you can see the shimmer on those threads or not, but I can definitely see it in real life. And 12 threads are really lovely to work with. This is my first experience with them. A couple of things I will say. They beat the heck out of, say, Krynic to work with, but they're not the same. The effect is kind of like what you get if you took like Krynic blending filament and mixed it with DMC. That is kind of the effect you get, although they're easier to work with than that. That's kind of a pain. But it kind of gives that kind of shimmer. There are maybe just two. There are just two étoiles in this. It's like a medium blue and a blanc. And they're easier to work with, but I did find that I could not, even though they seem like you can, because they're more like stitching with regular floss than other metallics. Doing the loop method, the front start loop method, which is what I've been doing for years, most of the time with 2 strands, doesn't work. You do use 2 strands on this. If you're going to use 2 strands in the regular pattern, you would use 2 strands of the étoile. And the front loop start just didn't work at all. I tried that and they ended up looking messy, like the loop wouldn't go through the back of the fabric like it was supposed to, and it would just create a mess. So I couldn't use the loop method, at least not on the front. So there's that. Otherwise, they were beautiful to work with. I do have to say I was greatly disappointed when the Blanc arrived because to me it seemed very gray. When you look at I wish I had it with me, but it's out. It's not worth grabbing. When you look at the skein in your hand, it looks very gray. However, when I stitched it up, I'm not at all disappointed with the look. I feel like it looks white enough stitched up, but it does. It looks very gray. I was like, did I get the right color? But no, other people have said that too. It just doesn't look right. It's supposed to match up with Blanc. All of the other étoiles that I've seen in person seem to match up pretty closely to the corresponding non-étoile DMC color. But this Blanc is very gray looking. But when it stitches up, it doesn't look as gray. It looks quite nice. So I'm pleased enough with it. Anyway, so there you go. Lovely finishing, but it's very, very fully stuffed. So she did a good job on that. And yeah, I like it. Another thing she did, she finished 3 things for me. Another thing she finished for me, and she came up with all the ideas. I basically sent her a picture of some things I had that needed finished, and she picked what she was inspired to finish. This one is Sue Hillis. The beatings will continue until morale improves, which I'm totally going to hang up. And this is definitely in my sense of humor. Don't gripe at me. Well, you can gripe at me if you want. Throw me down, gripe at me, whatever. But I have had people like, well, you're, glorifying domestic violence or something with this. Anyway, I think it's funny. I don't think domestic violence is funny. I don't think this is about domestic violence. The beatings will continue until morale improves. This is just black humor. I think it's hilarious. So she put it on a paddle, and she painted the paddle. So there it is. And then the third item, this is one of my favorite finishes ever, and her fully finishing of it just is fabulous. Just makes it even better. This is, I forget what it's called. It's from a Just Cross Stitch Halloween magazine. I'm blanking on everything about this, the title and the name, but I can certainly find it for you. So if you're burning to know after you see this finish, please ask me. One of my favorite finishes ever, and now it can hang on my wall instead of being buried in a box. And this is a very lightweight thing. I think she bought this at Michael's or something like that. very lightweight tombstone. They make a few different ones. And so I think I can probably just put some like double-sided sticky tape up on the wall and hang this. I don't think that'll be any trouble, and I'm in love with it. I just think it's awesome. So thank you very much, Laura. So if you want Laura to do some finishing for you, contact her. And like I said, I'll link to her below. So yeah, couldn't be happier. Okay, so that is it for the haul. And where'd my list go? There we go. Okay, so now I want to talk about WIPs, and I also want to talk about WIPGO, which probably most of you are familiar with. I joined Jessie Marie's WIPGO Facebook group. I will try to link to that below. WIPGO is something she did just for herself before, and there was a lot of interest in it, and so she created a group for the rest of us, and basically we make 24 goals for the year. They can be whatever you want, to plug into 24 spots on a WIPGO board, which is very much like a bingo board, with a free space in the middle. So 24 goals plus a free space. So I went ahead and participated. I made myself some goals. As you know, I've been talking about like not wanting to start so many things and wanting to get some things really worked on. So my goals are largely like working on stuff with several finishes in here. I do have a few starts in here, but all of my starts are like start to finish. So they're things that I can at least theoretically start and finish within about 2 weeks, because every month Jessie Marie draws numbers, and 2 numbers, so they correspond to 2 different spaces on the WIPGO board. And so the goals are technically, even though she draws 2 a month, the goals are technically for your whole year, but during whatever gets drawn during that month is kind of what maybe you're supposed to work on. And so in anyway, let me show you my board. There's some nonsense writing on the bottom. I think I was using this for scratch paper at one point, so ignore that. I'll try to hide that. But there's my WIPGO board. So the colored in spaces represent goals that have been drawn and I have completed. So those are January. So in January, she drew space 6 and space 12. And for me, that was Fire Burn and Cauldron Bubble, which is my ink circles mandala that I'm stitching twice to make a Biscornu out of. And I would actually like to finish this year. So I put 2 spots. I put 1 spot on the WIPGO board to finish a side and another spot to finish a second side. So I can at least have the stitching done, and then of course it's a couple of hours to stitch it together into a Biscornu. So if I can finish that this year, that would be awesome. So I finished a side, and it took me only about 6 days to do. And so here's my finish, and I'm not really counting it as a finish because I have to stitch it again. This is on my own hand-dyed fabric. I believe it's 28 count. I'm stitching this 1/1 to make this mandala small enough. So it's 1/1 with 1 strand of DMC 310 to make this small enough to make into a Biscornu. And I think it's going to be incredibly beautiful and delicate, and frankly impressive as a Biscornu when it's done. And this is my own hand-dyed fabric. I believe I used tangerine Rit dye to get this kind of creamsicle color. And it's going to be beautiful as a Biscornu. So finish the stitching on that. That was goal number 1 of January. And the second goal of January that she drew was 101 alphabets, which I did I almost bit off more than I can chew, but I managed to make my goal. Because I'm trying to make my goals, even though they're year-long goals. I'm making an effort to make my goals within the month. And I was just barely able to do it. Honestly, this was an unrealistic goal, but I really worked my ass off. And especially since I had that board gaming time, I couldn't stitch absolutely every day. I missed stitching 2 days. There were 2 days in January where I didn't stitch at all. But my goal was 101 alphabets. My project was 101 alphabets, and I'd set my goal as 20 more alphabets, which I don't know what I was thinking. That's a lot. And I had to do a little cheating to get those alphabets. Instead of stitching like whole areas, I had to jump around a little bit very carefully to get those 20 alphabets in. So I'm going to show you a picture of where it was when last you saw it, and here it is now. So I did a little jumping around. I just barely managed to get the 20 more alphabets in though, and it took more than 11,000 stitches. So I made enormous progress on this project regardless. So I'm going to try to show you the whole thing as to where it is. I can't see what you're seeing, so hopefully this is going okay. Hopefully this is working for you. Okay, I think you probably got the gist of it. So I got a lot done. So it's going to be quite a while before I get this project finished, but I was really happy. One of the things of my goals for this year is I really want some of these big projects to get significant progress. It may add up to me not getting a whole lot of finishes this year, but that's okay. A lot of times I will like, quick, let's finish some small things so that I can get those numbers up. But I really just need to get some of these giant projects, you know, worked on. So I have 2 completed goals for this year already. So the next goals that were called were grandmother's house. Sorry, it's okay. I'm kind of doing this out of order. I was afraid I was missing some things. Yes, since last we saw you, I worked on those 2 projects. And I also started and finished this, which is now fully finished in record time. And I worked on this project that I'm about to show you, because the next goals that were called in for February are for me, grandmother's house, which I have a goal of finishing this month. I don't know if it's going to happen, but we'll see. It's the goal. And then the other one is Spooky Halloween by Doreen Jones, which I'm stitching as part of Carla and Leo's Halloween stitch along this year. And my goal on that is to finish all of the 310, which, and I'd like to finish it by, it's the 9th day, I'd like to finish it by the 14th or the 15th at the latest, so that that's finished, and then I will have the remainder of the month to work on grandmother's house and hopefully get that finished. If not get that finished, get it pretty close to a finish. I think I can get it finished. I don't think there's that much left to the stitching on that, but there's a fair amount. So, so let me show you a picture of where Spooky Halloween was when last you saw it. And here it is as of today. So I think I'm doing really well. I'm more than halfway there. This is the third of 4 pages. And then, so there's about this much more where that finger is. The blank space up here is on purpose. It's charted as 2017 as the year. This is if I get the 310 done, it will actually look like it's done when I get the 310 done, but there's a few colors that are throughout that really represents probably only maybe 1 or 2 days of stitching to actually to have it finished. But anyway, all that to say, it's charted with 2017 up here. And obviously it's not 2017, and I'm not going to finish this in 2017. I will most likely finish it in 2020. 2020 won't fit in there, at least not as she has charted the 2 and the 0 and the 2 and the 0. It won't fit. 2021 might fit if I put off finishing it until 2021, but 2020 won't fit. So I'm leaving it blank for now because number one, I'm not sure what year I'm going to finish it in, and 2020 won't fit. So I don't care whether I have the year up there or not, but I need to come up with something that'll fit in there. And so I'm just leaving it for now. So I'm going to probably do that at the very end when I know which year I'm really finishing this in, because it could be that 2021 will be okay because ones are skinny. And so that I haven't checked to see if that'll fit, but it could be that will, and it could be that I'll actually finish it in 2021, which would be perfectly fine if that'll fit there. If that won't fit there, it's also maybe I know I've already checked. There's some other things in this border that won't fit either, so I have to come up with something that'll fit there. So that is not in part of my goal. Finishing this spot here is not part of my goal this month. So I think I can get it done. This goes really fast, and it's all one color, and it's pretty easy. So I actually think I can get it done unless I just don't stitch much in the next several days. The 9th, 10th, I've got like 6 to 7 days to stitch that up, and I think I can do that. I haven't been super dedicated to stitching this month either. I've already had at least 2 days where I haven't stitched at all. It could be that there's been 3 days that I haven't stitched at all. So it's I can totally get that done. And then once that is done, I am going to switch to my goal of finishing Grandmother's House. So I could have my first finish of the year this month. Here is a picture of where it was when last you saw it. And here I am now. It looks like more than it is. There's still quite a bit left to do. I've got the bulk of the top part, the bulk of the house done. But there's more than you'd think still to do. So I love this project though. It's beautiful and it's fun to work on. So I'm looking forward to getting back to it. And hopefully having it finished this year. This one is one that had been on my wish list for literally decades, since way back when, long before like FlossTube and like, I don't know, the 90s or something. And let me see, I'm pretty sure the pattern is that old. In 1994 is when this came out. And I know I wasn't aware of it in 1994, but in the late 90s, I believe, I became aware of Told in the Garden, and that it's been something I've wanted to stitch for that long. And so I won it in a giveaway. Nell, Little Yellow House Crafts, I believe. She's the one who sent me that. Complete surprise. I won some miscellaneous giveaway of hers where it wasn't specific patterns that were listed in the giveaway, and she sent that to me, and also another Told in the Garden pattern that I also love, and it was just the perfect thing for me. So I'm very much looking forward to having that done hopefully at the end of, I got a loose needle here, by the end of this month. We shall see. So that is everything I have been stitching. And the last thing on my list for this video, hey, we're gonna make it in not too long of a time for me, is my drawing. Last month, December, last time I did a video, I showed this finish, which you also just saw in my finish parade, and I wanted to give away the pattern and also the remainder of the threads, and now I'm going to actually do the drawing for that. And so I've got my poop mug Don't be insulted. All your names are inside the poop mug. Does not represent how I feel about you guys. And I'm going to draw a single name out. and it is Cindy Ratkin? I'm sorry, Cindy. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but I will comment on your comment, and if you follow me on Instagram, you can message me there. Please just get me your address, and I will ship this out to you as soon as possible. So congratulations, Cindy. And just please remember, yes, even though I am sending the leftover threads to you, don't try to use them. Just use them as a reference, or use them on other projects or whatever. But use them as a reference so that you can try to match up threads from your stash. I mean, I think for the most part, I think 100% that DMC would work just fine for this project. But even in the threads where there looks like there's a fair amount left, I do not believe there is enough left to stitch this entire project. But I'm going to send you those threads anyway, so you know what they look like, so you can match things up better. All right. I love you guys. I will see you hopefully in just a couple of weeks. I think I'll probably try to time my next video for like the tail end of February, the beginning of March. Hopefully I'll have my 2 goals completed, and I'll know then what my next 2 goals are, so I'll have 4 things to show you. If I finish some things early, I might have other things I'm working on that are not in my immediate plans. I do want to talk about, I want to answer answer the question about what's good in Alaska, since the last time I talked about Alaska it was kind of gripey, and there's a lot that's good in Alaska. I feel like I might talk for 20 or 30 minutes on that subject if I get started, so I decided not to address that in this video. I'm going to keep that for a shorter video. I also want to get back to talking to you guys about books. I have been reading up a storm. I've read probably about 15 books since last we spoke, some good ones, but I don't want this to be an hour-and-a-half long video, so I'm not gonna tell you about all those books. Anyway, I will see you hopefully in a couple of weeks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.